Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the MAFS Rewatch, where we are rewatching season 9 of MAFS. And today we are on episode 5. And with me, I am Tane. And with me today is my co host, Jen. Hi, Jen. How are you?
Hello, hello, hello. I'm doing fantastic. Before I joined you, I listened to your rewatch of And Just Like That. So now I don't have to watch the show. Thank you, Anena, for saving me that time. So I am ready to go.
It picked up. Episode 2 is good. So,
Okay, good.
so we're back. Okay, as always, before we get into it, just some housekeeping to take care of, guys. Wanted to let you know or remind you if you're new here that I have a Patreon, and on that Patreon, you can listen to the episodes on the regular feed. There's an option to listen to it ad free. There's an option to listen to bonus episodes where I talk about things like 90-Day Hunt for Love, currently the Love Island that's happening right now. The Sister Wives Tell All is happening right now. There's going to be 4 parts. When all that is done, I'm going to have a recap for that. And the ultimatum is coming up. I'm going to cover that also on there. And also, if you just don't want to listen to the episodes and you honestly just want to support me and the podcast, I would appreciate it. And you can just check it out there. And if you don't want to do any of those things, you can also join as a free member. Every now and then, you do get bonus episodes that you can listen to. Okay. As Jen mentioned, she just listened to And Just Like That recap. That's because I have another podcast, which I host with Nana, where we watched all seasons of Sex in the City. And right now, And Just Like That is airing. So we are covering that. And you can find that on Sex in the City, the Rewatch. That's the name of the podcast. Just search for that and you can listen over there. And if you're new here, just wanted to remind everyone because Netflix just put up MAFS season 17 and we were able to talk with Lauren from the season. So if you want to check out our interview, just search within the podcast, back to the Alta Call MAFS podcast, and you can check out our interview. There were 2 parts of it. So I think part 1, part 2, where we ask her all the questions. Check it out. It's crazy, Jen, seeing people discover MAFS again through seasons.
I know. They probably are like, oh, this is so kind of where reality shows are. It's like, no, no, no. This had an origin way back in the day. Like even going back to season 9 and seeing some of the first and seeing how it's changed even from the first season to 9. And then now to see it from 9 to 17, like you don't know what you're getting into if that's your first introduction to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Um, you know, we don't usually talk about, and some people are like, oh, you shouldn't talk about politics or things, but it's my podcast. I'm going to do what I want. And I just wanted to comment on all that is going on, right now in LA, the protests and ICE just, separating families and all the things. When we had the new administration come in, I think I mentioned on the podcast that all I'm hoping for is that everyone is treated with respect, everyone is treated with love. That is currently not happening. Little kids are suffering for all of the things, not just with this, but in all situations, the people that suffer the most are the little kids. And just want to touch on that. Like my heart goes out to everyone that's going, through that. They tell people to come the right way. Even when they do, they're still gathering people, whether or not. And we were warned. We were warned. And here we are. So just want to touch on that and just say my heart is with that this is not normal. Just to remind everyone that this is
Right.
not normal. It is not okay. And
Yep.
there's absolutely no need, for all of
Yep.
this.
Yep.
So, okay.
And as somebody who is raised in Southern California, like to see the people pushing back and protesting and to see the information, and it's so wild to see how the information is different on one side of the aisle versus another side of the aisle. And it's just, can information just be information? And it's heartbreaking. And people tell me, oh, you're so lucky that you're in Southeast Asia and you're so far away from this. And it's like, well, no, I'm not far away from this, because the next country that we're going to is Laos. And oh, guess who's on the country of who's on the list of countries that we can't have restricted visitors from. Oh, it happens to be the country that I'm going to. So just because I'm not there doesn't mean I'm not impacted by it. And of course, everybody I know and love is there. I've got friends and family in California. So being not in the country doesn't make me immune to any of this.
As a people, when it's like, if it's not happening to me, it doesn't matter. And that's not really how we should
Right.
operate, because at
Yep.
this point, we're all connected and we're all,
Yep.
have to feel for each other with all of that. But it is the world we're living. When you said, can information be information? I think we've passed that. We've lost the plot on that so long
Sadly.
ago.
Sadly.
Yeah.
Sadly. But also, this is your podcast, and you're one of the hardest working women in podcasting. And if you want to talk about this stuff on your platform, talk about this stuff on your platform. If somebody has a problem with it, there's a button you can press.
Yeah. I know. I was just saying that honestly because it's true. Some people are just like, "Oh, I just come to this," but there's always the fast forward 15 seconds. But you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, let's talk about some things that happened in the past, some MAFS updates. A couple of things I forgot in our last episode. I don't know why I forgot to mention this, but it's about Jamie. So, Jamie, she was like, she was meeting up with another couple for lunch or something like that. And it turned out to be Mackenzie from Teen Mom. And that is the most random meetup that I could think of, that because Mackenzie also has 3 kids, and recently she just had twins. She was pregnant at the time with twins, and Jamie has her 4 kids. So it was a lot with the husbands and all of them. But for me, it was just the randomness of it all that Jamie met up with Mackenzie from Team Mom.
Okay.
Um, Also, I forgot to mention, because I said at Jasmine's wedding, Jasmine from Nashville, that only Chris and Nicole from the season and Shaq were there. But I also forgot to mention that Brianna and Vincent were there as well with their kids.
Oh, yay.
So,
Sweet.
yeah. Um, Season 1 did Ask Me Anything, and someone asked about her husband on the show, Jason, because she's remarried now with 2 kids. And of course, it's been so long ago. And her response was like, in the nicest way possible, Google is free.
I love her. Do your own work. Don't ask me to do the work for you. I moved. I think Jason's got kids too. So okay.
I,
Do
I
the
actually
work.
don't even know. I know there was a whole drama because he got married to a UK reality star. It's Fuzzy now, and things like that. And I think was that the one that they were sending terrible messages to Courtney? I'm not sure. It's all
Oh
fuzzy now,
gosh.
but I don't know. I don't know if he had kids. I actually don't see what's going on with him. I should look him up. And finally, Karen from the New Orleans season shared like a post which she called a real post, and that she's, it's okay for her to say out loud that she's in an in-between phase, the phase where you are far from where you came from, but you're not where you want to be. And she's just been praying, hustling, and trying to stay focused. And she's going to be sharing more content as things progress some more. So I wish her all the best. I think Karen, she's not as public as the rest, but she has shared, like, going through rough times with mental health and just trying to get it all together and try to do her best to hold herself up and things like that. So that's never easy. So good luck to her on
Yeah.
that. And finally, mailbag for this week. I posted about the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives having a reunion, which is going to air July 1st. I'm going to recap it. And I got a couple of comments about it. And I think I got one where it was like, I think most of the comments were about Nick and why Nick. And I think L Cast, am I saying that right? Wondered how he would do as a host. And I actually think that he would do a good job. The thing is, the problem or the reaction everyone's getting to Nick getting this gig is the fact that it's Nick.
Hmm.
Like, that's the only thing. But if we take a step back and think about it, it makes sense. I mean, one might say Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Why are we getting a man? But this is the world we live in. But he's actually like in the center of everything. He seems to have the unofficial reunions for all of the shows, for all of the networks. He has his finger on the pulse. I wasn't sure if he used to watch the shows, but it seems like he watches the shows. And the one thing that makes Andy good on the reunions on Bravo is that he has nothing to lose. They actually want to be in his good graces, so he's able to ask all the questions versus someone they don't respect. The thing with Nick is he has nothing to lose. Like, if you don't answer my questions, if you don't say anything, you're the one that's going to look like an asshole. So he's going to be able to ask all the questions no matter how uncomfortable they are, because it's like, okay, we want to know. The people want to know, and he's not scared to do that. So the reaction, or why it's like, Nick, it's more because he's not necessarily the most likable person, but in
Mm-hmm.
terms of capability, I do think that he'll be able to do it. But I will say, though, my pick for who should have hosted this was Heather Gay from The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I don't care for the woman. Like, she annoys me a lot. But in terms of this, who better? Like, Salt Lake City is having a moment in reality TV. It's just everywhere. She understands the culture. She's the one who's not afraid to get dirty. I mean, she's the one who came up with the game where pull up the meanest text that you have about the woman on the table and share with everybody else. And in her way, she's a messy person in that she tries to hide her hands, but she's able to do it, but she's also able to understand. And I think the ladies will be able to relate to someone who's been through the things that they've been through in terms of marrying someone, staying married, because that's what the religion asked for. And, now trying to navigate your life outside of that. And I just thought it would be a good fit. And I don't know how it would play out with NBC Universal and Hulu and Disney, but that's who I would have picked if it was me. But in terms of Nick Vile, I think he will do a good job. Okay. You don't watch Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, do you?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry. I don't know why it keeps cutting out. Ugh. It's not raining. I don't know why the Wi-Fi's up.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. Did you have a comment to anything I just said, or
I was just going to say something generic about Nick.
yeah, go ahead, just so it feels like you
Okay.
responded to me.
Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have such a love-hate relationship with Nick. Like, I listen to his podcast, and because, to your point, like, for some reason he has the pulse on everything. So he gets the big guests. He gets, Sandoval twice. He gets Ariana. Like, he gets all the Mormon wives. He seems to be able to get the get. And sometimes he hits it out of the park. He can ask the big questions to some people, but then sometimes he really misses the mark. Like, I think he lost me with the whole Scandival thing, and he kept kind of not berating, but he was on Ariana so much about, well, why don't you just move out? And why don't you just move out? And it's like, bro, money. That's why she doesn't move out. She's not being there to be annoying to him. She's being there because her money is tied into this. And to some degree, he has an incapability of seeing the woman's side, which is odd because he's
Mhm.
surrounded by women on his show, including his wife. And so sometimes he does okay, and sometimes he really misses the mark. So I'll be interested, or not interested because I don't watch the show, but it'll be interesting to see the reaction.
I think he'll be different because I think he actually watched Secret Lives of Mormon Wives with the whole scandal. I think he just didn't watch the show and he was playing catch up with that.
Mm,
So we'll see
we'll see. We'll
how
see.
it goes. All right. So that was it for all of that. And we will take a quick break and we're back. But before I dive in, I just want to say sorry to you guys. I apologize. Last week, it seemed like the episode cut off abruptly. And thank you to everyone who brought that to my attention. And I corrected it. I was also on the phone with like Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I don't know why it wasn't updating, but it seemed to have been taken care of. But if that's not the case for you, please still let me know. But apologize for that happening. Okay, so they have left the honeymoon.
They
They're about to
are. Mhm.
Yeah, about to leave the honeymoon, and I kept wondering how long was this honeymoon? Because Pastor Cal is like talking about learning routines. They still have a few days to go, and I'm like, how long is this honeymoon going to be? But let's start with our couple, Beth and Jamie. Beth says, like, they had sex last night and they had sex this morning, and we touched on it last week. Either she has the shortest cycle ever, or and you were right. They just laid that towel down and did what they had to do because Last I knew, she said she just got her period. So, So she says that it was awesome and she can't wait to do this many times. And that also, he said that he loved her last night. Record break. That's what she did. And I don't know why, when she said that, we didn't get a clip of Jamie in his confessional saying that he said it. We need context. Did he say this independent of, how do I say this, of a release? Or was it a postcoital realization? Or did he really feel like, I just needed more context on him saying, I love you, and we didn't get him actually saying, yeah, I said it, you know?
Yeah, I fully get like a Charlotte and Harry from Sex and the City where she was like, "Yeah, you told me you loved me last night." And he's like, "When?" So, I think as much as I've been following Elizabeth through these last few episodes, I could see her definitely planting it and being like, "Do you
Yeah.
love me?" And he's like, "Yes." And so, I'm not sure he said this independent on his own. I'm in the same camp as you.
As a sidebar, and I swear I'm not a horn dog, but there truly is a difference between a sexless season and a sexful season. Like, I recently watched the San Diego, it was like an episode, and it's like a season where some of the couples or most of the couples actually had sex, can compare it to like Chicago or Denver, and it's just a completely different vibe. Because if you're having like a sexless season, of course, naturally it's because they not hate each other, but they're not feeling each other and they don't like each other. So it's just not fun because we're just watching it knowing that they don't like each other. But with these people, even if troubles arise or waiting for them in the corner, there's still that keeping them together, which I guess in its way it's toxic because it's like staying with someone for the sex. But either way, it makes for a better watch for us because there's something
Yes.
at
What
least.
I think it depends on who the people is. There's definitely some people I want to hear about where you're like, "Hey, Nate and Stasha, you guys go." And then there's some people like Beth and Jamie where I'm like, "I'm good. I'm good."
Yeah. The thing is, I don't even want, it's not even about hearing about it. It's just that there's something that's keeping them together. And there's going to be a show where at least there's some kind of affection and it's not like complete hate.
Yes.
So she says that she has never understood love at first sight, but she thinks that that just happened to her. These are fast burners, I tell you. The ladies get together and they go shopping together and gather again. And Beth asked them what is the funnest thing that they've done with their partners so far. Deonna says fun or funniest. I can't remember which it was. But Deonna says that, they were packing and they had matching bathing suits and it wasn't even planned. And then they show a flashback of them and it was dancing and it was just so cute about them. Amber asked about if any of them have had their first fights, and Beth said she doesn't want to tell them. She's telling us that she doesn't want to tell them that it's between both of them, and she doesn't want anyone else's personal opinion coming between two of them. And I'm like, I'm going to say this many times. I swear these people are doing meetups right. Like, if they have to mingle with each other and talk with each other, this is how you do it. Not to say you shouldn't talk about it or have a support system, but it's so early on, and you don't really, the same way you don't know your husband, you don't know these women yet, so you have to
Hmm.
gauge. And I just think you have to, be smart about it, about what you're sharing or not sharing, because nobody else mentioned a fight. So who would
Right.
Beth be and be like, oh yeah, we did our fight? I don't know, but I think it was done right, and I agreed with her in not sharing at the moment about their fight.
Yeah, I had a mixed message, or I had mixed feelings this episode when the groups were together, whether it was all the guys or all the girls, because somebody would say something and then off camera somebody would be like, "Well, I thought that was weird," or "Why didn't they say this?" And I'm like, and part of me is like, "Well, why don't you say that to that person? That they might find that helpful if you're at the
Yeah.
point where we're going to start talking together. Well, let's talk together and let's exchange ideas." And I don't, but maybe it's too early. I don't know. I had mixed message or mixed feelings about whether or not people needed to bring up more stuff if they're going to be together. But yeah, I don't think everybody needs to know
Yeah.
about it, your fight. But if somebody's going to talk about their stuff, it might be okay to just kind of ask questions.
Maybe the real reason was that she was embarrassed about it,
I think
because
that's true too.
ultimately it was silly. So maybe
Hmm.
that was the real reason. And maybe if it was something that she completely felt like she was completely right in, she might have said it to have some backup, on
Yeah.
there. But I
Yeah.
think I was thinking about it from the perspective of they're still new, they don't know each other. And I know these people come in these shows and like, we're besties for life. But or maybe there's still some trepidation in getting to know the women as well. So Deanna tells them about the compliments, and Iris is like, you got to take it all in. And Deanna's like, I hear you. And she tells us that that may work for her. She's an extrovert who enjoys being the center of attention, but that's not me at all. And, I appreciated her comments. And again, this is doing meetups well. Yes, people can have their opinions, but it doesn't mean you should like take it and soak in it and then spiral out of it. Deanna's like,
Right.
I hear you. It works for you, not for me. So and it's true. My first instinct to what Deanna's saying, like with the compliments, is to be like, what is wrong with you? What is not? But the thing about being a human being is like we're all different and
Yeah.
everyone requires different things. And just because, yes, I get it that getting compliments is a nice thing. If she doesn't want it, she doesn't want it. Like,
Yeah.
and she was nice about it. We've seen other instances where people have spoken to their spouses crazy just trying to get a point across, but she's like, yeah, it's kind of a little bit too much for me. Like, that's not, it doesn't do it for me. And they always say you need to love people the way they want to be loved.
Hmm.
Yes, I still think it's weird. Like, I don't know who doesn't like compliments, but I think with this episode and when she made that comment about Iris, I can appreciate that we do have to respect what she's not saying. Don't give me compliments. She's just
Yeah.
saying don't give me a lot of
A
compliments.
lot.
So
Yeah, I think she
yeah.
said when you layer them, when it's compliment upon compliment upon compliment, then it seems too much for her. But yeah, again, I'm still flip flopping on the two of them. I like Deanna because she's very clear. She's very
Yeah.
clear about what she wants, which is the complete opposite of Beth. So I could see having a conversation with Deanna going much more clearly and easily because she said, I want this. This is why. And Greg, being Greg, is like, okay, I can respect that. It's uncomfortable for me, but it's what you want, and I can respect that, which is why they're good at that communication piece.
Yeah. And Beth mentions that they're all the yin and the yangs for their
Oh.
husbands. So we switch to the guys. The guys are playing putt putt golf, and Matt shares how he's usually 6 months in the country, 6 months out the country, but he's hoping to plant roots. My goodness. Take a shot every time they said plant roots in the episode. So Keith asks, if he decided to take a contract and went overseas, would he want Amber to come with him? And he says it's up to her, which to me is a red flag. Ideally, it should be like, yeah, of course, I want to be with my wife. I know it'll be a change, but I hope she wants to come. But to say it's up to her, did you see that as a red flag? I don't know. Because I was equating it to, how when people say, oh, do you want to have kids? And the person's like, well, it's up to the woman. It's her
Yeah.
body. It's her
Yeah.
choice.
Hmm.
Is that kind of like the route that it was, or was it more like, I mean, I don't care if she comes or she doesn't come.
And
I mean,
this is why I don't know, and this is one of the many issues that I have with Matt is and how he was even cast on this show, how somebody with no kind of firm foundation in the city, nobody with a firm kind of career, especially a career that's going to take them out of the country, not just to another city, like out of the country, and then somebody who, and we'll get to it later, has very different views about what they want from a marriage from the person they were matched with. I
mhm.
don't know. Everything he says makes me so uncomfortable. And this whole she can do whatever she wants. It's like, okay, but there's two of you in it. And also, you have somebody who is really giving. And I think if you give her some direction, she's cool with it. And I think that's why she's trying so hard. And he's just so flippant about stuff. It's really it's making me uncomfortable, and I'm not even married to him.
Yeah, Keith says, like you mentioned earlier, to us, but not to him, that it's odd that he's considering an overseas contract after marrying a stranger and that he actually thinks it's selfish.
Mm.
Keith
Hmm.
shared that they agreed. I think it was Greg, or was it Greg or Keith? Keith, it was. I'm sorry. Keith shared that he and Iris agreed to do this thing where nightly they talk about two things that they didn't appreciate, and then they talk through it and see what they can do better. I don't know about you, Jen. That doesn't sound good to me. You know, every night.
Nightly nightly seems a bit much, and maybe the idea is like, hey, if we do it a lot at the beginning, like eventually we'll need less later. But maybe it's like that compliment stuff. Like once we open that door where you tell me everything you dislike every day, I can't close that door. So I don't know. I don't know about every day. That seems excessive.
I don't know. They should have settled for like a weekly roundup, and then
Yes.
maybe added in something you did today that I really appreciated. It just
Yes.
sounded negative
Yeah.
to me. So we're just going to talk about all the things that I'm doing wrong. Like, oh my gosh.
No.
So Greg is like, "Oh, I like it." While Matt is like, we've done a good job of me and Amber of being open and honest from jump. And Jamie, again in confessional, is like, they seem like the opposite of open and honest. I mean, he's thinking about playing out the country and he's telling us, but he hasn't even told his wife. I'm like, but you know what? I know you're saying like they're not speaking, and it depends on what the goal of this is, I guess, to have a support system. But I still feel like it falls under the umbrella of doing the meetups right, because they're not getting into each other's businesses, and that would just complicate things. If this was San Diego, this is a chance where someone would have later on, we don't see any husband run to their wife and say, "Do you know that Matt wants to leave and go to another country?" and all that, because that would have happened in New Era MAFS, where
Yeah.
someone's running in and telling people what's going on. But these people are like, your business, your marriage, not my problem. I don't
Yeah,
care.
exactly. I got my own lady over here that
Stupid.
I got to deal with. I can't deal with your lady too. But
Yeah. So I don't know if it helps or if it hurts, but if I had to pick, I'm all for, I mean, again, depending on what you're trying to get out of this. If you really want these people to have a chance at succeeding, I'm all for the hands off approach. But if you're here for the mess and all of that, well, yeah, they got to talk.
yeah, and
So,
it may vary by personality too, because I think Greg is
mhm.
very clear, Jamie's very clear, Keith is very clear. Matt seems unclear. So Matt, who especially again does not have a firm foundation, might need some of this guidance from the other guys. And I think that uh, they are men who are very articulate with explaining their feelings and where they're coming from. And so maybe he could take a little, I don't know, page out of their book, or he can get a little something something from these guys, because I Matt needs a little something. I don't know what it is. He needs help.
Mm, Matt does not strike me as someone who will listen to other people. He's going to
No,
do what he wants to do.
there's
So,
that too.
so Jamie brings pizza for Beth, and she's so giddy, and she shares, like, in their conversations, that she didn't mention anything about their fight. Like, she's not about to share anything, and she didn't trust the intention, was what I gathered from what she said. And he says, like, I agree. Like, I mean, it's fine. Like, it's fine. Like, it's fine that you didn't tell them. But then he tells us, like, yeah, I think she feels insecure about it. Like, if she wants to keep things between us, sure. But I
Hmm.
think it can work. So although the group, the entire group are going on a catamaran, and Beth is not happy about it. She tells us that in the confessionals, like, high heat is not for her. And Jamie's worried that she's going into diva mode. And honestly, he doesn't want to go anymore, because if it's going to be that big of a deal and she's going to be negative and she's sucking the energy out of it, I'm like, damn, that was
But he
aggressive.
wasn't wrong, and I don't know if this is a show thing. Like, can they just say, you know what, she's not feeling well, we're just going to hang back? And they said, no, you absolutely have to do this. Like, there's so many signs that are like, do not enter, do not enter, do not enter, and they entered anyway. And I don't know why they just, somebody didn't pull the plug on this, because the signs that this was not going to go well was all there.
If they pull the plug and everything Beth doesn't want to do, we're not going to have a show. She doesn't want to be in the sun. She doesn't want to be in the sand. She doesn't want to be like the water thing. She doesn't like boats. She doesn't like this. But why should Jamie suffer for his honeymoon because she doesn't want to? She should have just taken some Dramamine. Is that what it is? Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yes. Yes.
And just lowered the diva mode, because it was on there before she was even on the boat. Like, if she was on the boat, I understand. And she wasn't the only one. Amber also felt sick. You didn't hear her
Yeah.
throwing a tantrum, over there. So it was on 1000. So she keeps going on and on, even before in her confessionals about how she hates. She's like, ugh, gross. Like, I don't know. It was just, it was a lot. So they get on the catamaran, and Beth tells us that she's freaking out and we might see a bitch because she hates being waterlocked. Amber, like I mentioned, is also having motion sickness because the waters were choppy. Like, I know I'd be sick. I get motion sickness so easily, so I know I can feel their pain on that.
Yes.
But
Yes.
Amber is like, but you know what? It's still worth it. The views are worth it. Like everything was fine. She really thinks that she's gonna throw up, but she doesn't. And Matt is being supportive. Like he's just holding her and checking if she's okay, which is good on him because someone telling me they're throwing up, I'm not holding you close. I'm trying to figure out which direction are we, and it doesn't matter. If you're in a boat like that, when you are throwing up, the wind's gonna do some things. I'm
Yeah.
not speaking out of experience either, but yeah, the wind is gonna do some things. So good for him.
And
But
I actually
oh, go ahead.
thought he took his hat off, and I actually thought he was going to give it to her, like if she needed
Yeah.
to kind of do in his hat. So I was like, "All right,
Yeah.
Matt, you get a couple points for that." And as somebody that has been on several boats, because we scuba dive, and yeah, when somebody gets sick, there's nothing you can do about it. You just got to let them lean over the side and do what they're going to
Mhm.
do. The worst thing you can do is kind of hold it back. Sometimes you feel better just to let it out. And if the wind is going behind you, then you go that way, which it seemed like based on where their hats were flowing. If she had done it off the back of the boat, everybody would have been fine.
See, that's good advice that doesn't occur to you in the moment. If the wind is behind me, then go there.
Yeah, just go in the back.
Okay. All right. So as soon as they get to not shore, but the island, they all
Mhm.
separate to have their own time. And Greg and Deanna are going into the water. Greg says, like, they're not having sex. This is the first time that he's seen her with little to no clothes. I mean, she has clothes on, so I don't know why the no clothes. And he's, kind of turned on. So he doesn't want other people to see him. So Greg gets into the water to hide a rising, if you will, of
His excitement about her teal
his
bathing suit.
excitement.
I loved
And
him.
honestly, I just thought it was so cute because I mean, who doesn't want their husband to be attracted to them in that way? And he was just being funny and cute about it. And all this time, we know she has no idea. She's just prancing about in her bathing suit, doing her, and she doesn't know the chaos that she's wreaking in this man's swim trunks, I
But that's
guess.
what I love about them is that he is genuinely attracted to her, and he's doing it in a way that's not vulgar, it's not gross, it's not over the top, and he's doing it in a way that could be perceived as, I guess, embarrassing to him. So he's like, I'm gonna go in the water so people don't see that I am super excited about my wife. I love them so much. He's so cute.
Yeah. So Keith says that, Keith and Iris, they decide to take a path. Like they're exploring like I don't know, a trail, a path. And Keith says, like, oh, if he was to die, he would want to die on a deserted island. I'm like, this is not honeymoon speak. Like, I don't, what is this? So
Maybe it's that
they're
friend
talking.
zone high five thing that you don't like. This is more of like a conversation you would have with a buddy versus, hey, romantic walk. Although that's not a romantic walk on a deserted island. Like that, you were on a road. It wasn't like some hidden treasure, and you were just kind of in bushes. It wasn't like beautiful tropical trees, and there were beautiful tropical birds everywhere. Y'all were just kind of in the woods somewhere.
And they were the only couple to do that. And I bet the cameraman that was on there was like, God damn it.
Exactly.
Everyone gets to stay on the beach and sit. I have to walk with these people.
Give me my bug spray.
So Keith is just being goofy and just like pretending like bugs, like touching her legs, and she's like screaming. And Iris is like, "Oh, I learned that my husband has a playful spirit." But which is nice, but maybe not in a deserted island. Well, why are you walking in a deserted island in your honeymoon?
Exactly. He's
Matt and
playing to
Amber
make
are
this
just
he's playing to make this weird walk interesting.
weird walk. A
It is
Walking
weird.
Dead walk.
Yeah, exactly. Why are we walking through this desert? It's so weird.
So Matt and Amber are walking off. They're walking on the beach to the side, and Amber. This is a very random scene, I have to say. Amber asks him, like, "Do you want to take off your trunks and maybe just be in your undies?" She says undies, not underwear. And Matt says, No, not after swimming. It shrinks. And Amber is like, well, I already know what he looks like. He ain't got to prove nothing to me. I'm like, what was the purpose of the scene?
I don't know. Maybe, and again, and as we go on and learn more about their relationship, I feel like he's challenging to talk to, and maybe when she's sexual and playful with him is when she gets kind of a genuine reaction out of him, because she does it a lot. And when she's not
Yeah,
doing it, he doesn't really say much. So maybe that's kind of her only way to poke him to get some kind of reaction out of him, because she does it kind of a lot.
yeah. Okay. So they come back from their Walking Dead walk and they're on the beach and going around. And then Keith's ring falls off and he loses his ring. And Iris is not happy about it. And for the life of me, I'm not sure why. Like she's legit freaking out. She's like, "Oh, this ring, and you can't lose this." And I'm like, "You didn't even pay for it. What are
Thank
you
you.
like? What is he upset? It's not the cost. It's not the thing. Him not wearing the ring doesn't mean like your marriage is over." But it was such a weird reaction,
Yep.
and I was reminded what it is about Iris that bothered me was just she has big reactions to things that shouldn't even be that big.
Yeah. And this,
But
I had the exact same reaction to you. It's like, you didn't pay for this thing. Why are you so upset? And she's like, you better find that. For what? If you lose it, you get a new one. It's not like it's a 17 karat diamond that somewhere
yeah.
lost. And so I don't, it seemed like a weird thing for her to freak out about, but it's also kind of a window into how she
Mhm.
handles things. And I don't know if this is the first time she's had a big reaction. I think it's the first one I've seen. But it kind of gave me a pause to go, oh, okay, this is a very strange reaction to this thing that's very small.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it was nice that all the couples, were looking for the ring for him. Like seeing
Yeah.
Jamie on all fours, just good digging through the sand. I was like, that's pretty nice because I'm sure it's very hot there.
Yes. And even Beth
So they had,
stood up. Even Beth stepped up. She was like, well, let me look through your bag and let me do this. So, yeah, I think
yeah.
everybody was on board. And again, I don't know if that was because Iris had such a big reaction to it that everybody was like, oh, no, we need to find this. Or they're just buddies at this point and they just wanted to, or they were bored on this deserted island looking for something to do. I don't
That's the funny thing. Why did they have to go in the choppy waters to come all the way? They didn't even have anything set up for them.
know.
So was it just
Mm-mm.
to come, stand on the beach, go on the walk, and that was it? But okay, it's
Maybe
free.
it's the only
We'll
place they can get approval to film
in
outside of the
Antigua.
resort.
Mm.
Outside of the
Oh,
resort? I
yeah,
don't know. Antigua's really small. We learned that last week.
that is true. That is true. That is true. Facts. And it is an experience. Let me not diminish this. This is a free experience. So why not? So they're back on choppy waters, and Deanna is just having a great time. She's like, "Oh, it's like a roller coaster." Wee. Beth sat bitching. Jamie is like, "Oh, you're being so dramatic," and Beth is like, "Fuck you." So then he makes a joke saying, "Well, can we annul our marriage if you're dead?" I mean, it is kind of funny, but don't say right that. And then she's like, again, go fuck yourself. And he's like, we're past that point, but the point of no return. Listen, it's funny to us because we're not in it, but I can
Absolutely.
imagine her just fighting for her life and he's just making the stupid jokes that she doesn't want to hear. So he tries to comfort her though and puts her hand like, "Are you okay?" And she's all pissy. And once they get there, she's like, "I'm out, guys. Bye." And then she does the deuces, peace sign, and then she walks away. And Jamie's just pissed because that's not how you talk to me. So
Right.
I mean, they're both in the wrong because what is with the
Yeah.
jokes?
Yeah. I mean, I think, and Jamie is that guy. I think we learned from their first fight that if if you take him to the point where he's annoyed or you take it too far, like you're not getting anything from him. Like once
Hmm.
you shut him down, you're not getting him back. And you're gonna get cold Jamie, you're gonna get sarcastic Jamie, you're not getting comforting Jamie. And I don't know why she didn't realize she passed that point because she was so focused on herself. But he was
Yeah.
once he's done, he's done.
Yes, Jamie fights dirty, I believe. Like Jamie's kind of
Yes.
person, like you do something to him, he's like, "Oh, you think you can do that to me and get away with
Hmm.
it? Bet I'm sure
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
So the next morning, Beth wakes up. She's happy, and he's like, "Oh, I see you're in a better mood." And she's like, "Yeah, I am." She admits that she was a bitch to him the day before, and that she has to work on controlling her emotions. And then she apologizes for snapping at him. He shares, why he was upset because of the way that she spoke to him, but they vow to keep working on them. And that's again the thing so far in the season that has been great is watching their conflict resolution skills for all the couples actually. So Beth is getting ready in the bathroom, and honestly I see how sunburned she is. She's burned so bad,
So bad.
and I have more sympathy for her. Like I'm like, that has to be like a bitch. So they're
But
talking about,
also, if you
oh,
know
go ahead.
you are super pasty and you hate the sun, like wear sunblock, put something on. Like, why are you out there in a tank top and no hat? At least, Amber out there with her big dumb hat and she was covered up. If you hate the sun and you're gonna get pasty, like do something about it. Er.
Yeah, true that. So they're talking about going back home, and Jamie says it that he loves her, but we still don't get a confessional of him saying, like, yes, I said it, it's too soon, because it just seems out of character for someone like Jamie, who they told us is so picky and is always looking for flaws and looking for that. So for him to already be saying, I love you, that's a shocker for me.
It's not for me because Elizabeth is somebody that consistently needs reassurance. Like the number of times that she says things to him, like, "Do you like having with sex with me? Do you think I'm pretty? Do you think I'm this? You know what I mean?" She's always
Mhm.
asking him for reassurance, and Jamie's. I mean, she's not subtle about it, so it's he. She's hitting him over the head with a rock about this stuff, and I think he's smart enough to pick up on it that she needs kind of this reassurance, and maybe that's his way of like, "Hey, if I say this thing, it's big." She'll know. Um, but I don't know. I can see why he would say it quickly to kind of make her feel a little less anxious about everything.
Yeah, he also doesn't like to be told what to do.
That
So,
too.
yeah.
Him and Matt, great pair.
Well, Beth tells us that she is in love with her husband, and that was it for these two lovebirds on there. Anything else to add for them?
No, it's one of those things where the sexy time is a powerful thing. I think when he gets to that point, she pulls out the sexy time card and he's like, "All right, fine." It's what it feels like so far.
Yeah. So Amber and Matt, they go snorkeling, and Amber tells us that she can't say that she trusts him because she doesn't trust easily. And I'm like, this is not the Amber. The Amber I
No.
see seems
No.
to trust easily. So
Mhm.
I don't know what is happening. So after the catamaran, they have their final dinner, which is not a group dinner, as it is in New Era. So again, to me, I like this. I feel like they should have more alone time. They talk about life after the honeymoon, and she says she's not nervous. He says that he's mumbling around, but he's like, I just don't want you to be tired of me because I'll be there all the time. He says he needs to be able to financially support himself. And if he can't get the mobile detailing company off the ground, he might have to take a contract overseas. And again, boo on the experts because it's insane.
How?
And and the fact that this happened where we had somebody who didn't have roots, and in subsequent seasons we're going to see them pick people who still don't have roots, and it's like, are you not learning from your mistakes? Why?
Yeah.
So he brings up the contract and how he might be gone for 7 to 10 months. Amber tells us that, well, if he does that, like it's going to be a deal breaker. And he tells him that, it triggers, like how her mom left her. She
Mhm.
says it'll be a hard trial to overcome. And she tells him that, I could easily support us while you get your business off the ground. Like I'll be making 80 grand. We'll be fine. That's how you know it's 2019. Not like you can't survive on that now, but it's just, you're going to need a lot more now. So
Yeah,
she said,
and also North Carolina. I don't know what city they are. They're in Charlotte, so maybe
Charlotte, yeah.
Charlotte in 2019, depending
Yeah.
on where they live in town, maybe it's not that bad. But
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's good money back then, but it's just a lot has happened in 5 years. So as soon as she says that and says she could easily support them while that happens, we could visibly see Matt's
Yes.
demeanor just change.
Hmm.
And then we see Matt and Amber on the bed because I mean they finished the dinner, and then next thing scene we see is Matt and Amber on the bed, and clearly there's an issue. She's lying on one side, he's lying on the other side. And then Amber gives us a selfie cam where she tells us that on the way back from the dinner, he confronted her and felt like she humiliated him and basically was calling him a broke ass. That's me quoting Scrubs. But what she did was calling that he's not able to handle his financial responsibility. And she was just trying to tell him, like, no, I'm a wife and I'm just a wife that will support you. So he says that he wasn't sure what he said, but she reacted negatively. So he reaches out to her in her hand and says like they should talk. And then she's crying and apologizing. And I'm like, ugh, you don't need to apologize. Like, I don't even
Yeah.
think what you said was so terrible.
No.
He says that he appreciates her support, but he's not going to ask his newlywed wife to help. And he never asked her to do it. And they do resolve it. And I'm not going to say that Matt is in the wrong. Between the two, Matt is in the wrong. But we have to always remember that these people just met. So if this man, we're gonna later find out, like this man is comes from a background where, I'm the man, me man, I should always be king. And he feels like her just offering support means like she was saying, like, you can't do what you need to do, you're not being a man, or whatever it is that he interpreted that to be. She doesn't know that.
Yeah.
He
Because
doesn't know that she is, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh no, I was just gonna say it because that requires him to communicate with her, which is something that Matt is not good at all. Like in any of these conversations, he is not. He, I mean, I feel like he throws stuff on her at the last minute. Like I'm trying to do this mobile detailing business. All right, cool. What's your plan? Like how long is it gonna take you to get it off the ground? What were you gonna do in the meantime? You're living in your friend's basement. Like what does that look like? And so I think for her to, she's probably clocked at this point that you can't just kind of confront him. So a way to get around the confrontation is to be like, I'll help you. Whatever you need, I got you, which is incredibly sweet for somebody that you've just met. And instead of going, oh man, that's incredibly sweet, but I'm not comfortable with that, he blows up at her off camera. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Again,
Mm-mm.
the experts. You gave someone who's trying to get business off the ground, does not have financial stability, does not have a home, and you're like, yeah, and you gave it to a girl who has an anxious attachment style.
Exactly.
Is it harsh to say that at this point Amber seems desperate?
I don't know if she's desperate. I think she really wants this to work. And I think that put, they say over and over again that she's somebody that puts herself out there and she gives more than her partners. And I think relying on the situation and the experts and thinking that, hey, all of the crap that I've had to put up with by men I've selected on my own, I've laid out every inconvenience. I've laid out every insecurity that I have to these experts, and they're going to match me with somebody that's not going to trigger some of these things. So I think she had faith that this is the right person for her based on the difference in their situation. And I don't know. I really don't know how Matt passed any of this because Matt seems to me like the kind of guy, those guys that do everything to make you break up with them. Like he's
Yeah.
saying, oh, well, you're going to get sick of me. That's why we're going to, you're just going to be sick of me because I'm home all the time. Or, I just don't do this. And I don't do that. And I play basketball. That's my career. I think he's doing all of these things to make her break up with him first, is what it feels like to me.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, okay, that was it for me for Amber and Matt. Anything I missed? Did I get it all?
He's just a different dude on and off camera, is what it feels like. And that I wish we could see more of the off camera Matt, but I guess that he has it that way for a reason.
Mm. All right, taking a break, and we'll be back for the remaining two couples. Okay, and we're back to speak about Deanna and Greg. They high five in a good way because he hadn't given her a compliment and she loves it. And you guys didn't come through for me. Deanna's hair is still laid flat. That's all I can say. Is like it is still flat. It's still there. No one has sent me any magic tricks and tips. So, I kid. But Deanna is talking about her faith and she asks Greg what church does he go to. Greg tells her the church that he goes to and says that he's in it and he serves at the church. And he's like was it a parking attendant? And they joke
Yes.
about it. She says that she doesn't have a church, that she's a bedside Baptist, and right now she's watching online. And but it's nice to know that he has a church. And when she said that, I'm like, whoa, little does she know that she's going to be bedsiding so hard because COVID is around the corner and we don't
Yeah.
know at this point. So Greg says that he would like them to go to church together and they're both happy about it. They believe that God led them there and listen, they're just matching. Everything's going great. Greg tried to get some tea after the girls and guys meet up, and Deanna shares about the area of improvements that Iris mentioned because coincidentally, Iris mentioned the same thing. And Deanna is like, yeah, it's not for me. Like, I don't want to talk about something that happened 2 weeks ago and then it festers. Then Greg, who at the time said, oh, I like this, was like, well, how would you handle that? And she's like, I would just rather do it in the moment. Let's just talk about it in the moment. And that works for me. And he's like, oh, that's true too. That's good. And I'm like, great. I'm going to need you to share what you actually think because being in the moment is great. That's how I am. But my husband is a different kind of person. He prefers
Mm,
to like sit on it, actually think about what he's going to say, and then come back and talk about it. And that was something I had to learn because I'm just like, why when we talk about things in the moment? We're not
right.
talking about 2 weeks now. We're just talking about a moment just to gather and just to know, what it is that you're trying to get off of. Sometimes to even figure out what you're feeling because
Right.
sometimes things happen and you're just like, but why are you? Are you triggered? Is it valid? Are you just in a mood or something like that? And not everyone is in the moment kind of person. So I think that was the only hole I could poke with this. Like I'm with her being in the moment, but I don't know what Greg's style is because Greg is just like, oh yeah, I like that. Oh yeah, that's great. Oh yeah, that's good. But what works for you? So
Yeah. And I'm definitely a no, we can't do this in the moment because I need to think about my words. I need to think about, am I reacting, why am I
mhm.
reacting this way? Is it because of my stuff or is it because of what I'm seeing? And then I need
Mhm.
time to like break it down and and then think about ways to express it in a way that's
Yeah.
clear versus my emotion. So I'm definitely not an in the motion moment person.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not, let's talk about it every day. Like, give me a moment to process it. Let me confirm that this is my issue. If it's my issue, let me fix me. If it's our issue, let me figure out how we can do this together. So yeah, the daily thing would not work for me. The in the moment thing may not work for me. I'm somewhere in the, I think I liked your original idea of like, let's do this every week.
I really appreciate Deanna being like, yeah, not for me. Like, yeah, sounds great, but no, like where you stand with Deanna. So
And this is where people, when they keep talking about, oh my gosh, she hasn't been in a relationship for 10 years. Yeah, but she's worked on herself and she knows herself and
yeah,
she's clear about what she wants and she's clear about what she needs. And I think they need to quit harping on this. Every time they mention it to somebody and they make a face about it, but then you see somebody like, Beth, who's been in relationships for goodness knows how long and doesn't have the clarity and directness and self-awareness that Deonna has, having worked on herself for 10 years. I think that should be applauded in this case.
it should be. But like I said, she's ruining my data set. But I will still put her as an anomaly on
And
there because there's
yeah,
not a lot of people that are like her. But she actually put in the work and actually worked on herself. So
yeah.
okay. So after the catamaran, they talk about life after the honeymoon. She asks if he owns his home. They're having their dinner. And she goes, yes, like I have 4 bedrooms. And Deanna's like, why do you have 4 bedrooms when it's just you? And he was joking, like, oh, I was waiting on you, girl. But also, I think it's a silly question. Like, just because it's him, should he build, because he built his house, should he build a house with a 2 bedroom? Like, he's thinking about the
Yeah,
future. Like, I'm just going to do it
exactly.
now.
Exactly.
So she says that she has her own townhome and they talk about living with people. She says she's never lived with a guy, and she says, "Have you?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I was engaged, and me and my ex fiance were living together." And you literally see Deonna do the emoji with the two eyeballs, like, "Excuse me."
The record scratch.
Honestly, why hasn't Greg brought this up before? Like that.
Honestly.
In a different man, we would be like, red flag, what the heck? Why didn't you tell her? But it didn't seem like a big deal here. But this could be a testament to Deanna's reaction. So
Yeah.
she's like, okay, spill. What is this fiance thing you say? So he
Hmm.
says they were together for 4 years and it was toxic. And it was mostly because he was insecure. And being insecure led to him being controlling. But he went to therapy. And Deanna's telling herself, like, huh, okay, I'm gonna not go off the deep end. Everyone has a past. The past is the past, but it can hurt you. And I'm like, get a master class, get a master class, and tell
Amen.
these people what to
Yes.
do. Because again, in New Era Maths, this would have been a shit show
Yep.
and gone off. Because honestly, so many things. And I'm telling you, this is why likability and building equity works. Because when some guys say that now and they're just like, "Oh, I went to therapy." I'm rolling my eyes because I'm like, buzzwords. Everyone thinks like you go to therapy is to fix all. But Greg is saying it and I'm like, yeah, oh, he took responsibility. But I think it's because the proof is in the pudding. I can see that he actually worked on himself in the way that he reacts to stuff, and I have not seen any way in which he's being controlling with
Yeah.
Deanna.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I took it. I took his word for it.
Yeah, and I think to your point, Jax from Vanderpump Rules went to therapy. So I think just going in the room doesn't qualify as going to therapy. Like you actually have to be honest and not lie to your therapist and uh, take stock of what you've done and what your responsibility has been in your relationships. And I think he's done that. Although I still
I
think
would
it's
like to.
super weird that he did not tell her. How did this not come up before that he was engaged with all of their honesty and let's talk about everything and their backgrounds? It's so strange that this never came up.
I would like to correct you though. I think Jax went to like a life coach. Jax would do anything but not go to an actual qualified, therapist. And then he went to with someone who made him like scream instead of actually confronting what he was doing. So I don't know where he finds these places because currently on the Valley, he's at a rehab center, but he's torturing Brittany while in the rehab center. He can watch her through the cameras. He's calling nonstop. So I don't know.
I think he goes
Um,
like online and just finds like the most attractive therapist he can and be like, that one.
so Greg says he had to grow a lot and he's been single for 2 years. That he wasn't planning to talk about this on the romantic date, but obviously he was going to marry the wrong person because God had her in plan for him. I'm like, okay, Greg, that's very smooth. So she thanks him for sharing, and he thanks her for letting him spend the rest of his life with her. Oh,
Oh, I do, I
sorry,
like. I
girl.
mean, they are just to your point, master class about how do you communicate. And it would have been really easy for her to fly off the deep end and be like, "Why didn't you tell me about this? And I can't trust you, and I already have trust issues." And da 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 da. She said, "Well, tell me more about this. What did that mean?" And ask really thoughtful questions, and that gave him the space to give thoughtful answers versus having to defend himself in some way based on her response. Like they communicate so well. I just I love them so much. I hope they last forever.
Our final couple is Iris and Keith. Not much happened because most of their drama happened with the ring loss, quote unquote. They went on a sailboat, and Keith just still thinks that they make a good team. Throughout the sailboat, they're close to each other, they're talking to each other. They had so many opportunities to kiss each other, but nothing happened. After the catamaran, nothing really happened. Just while they were packing to go home, which these people, they put their suitcases on the bed, all of them, all
I
of them.
was
Even
thinking about you
I
the
was
whole
trying
time.
to. I forgot to check for Iris because Iris says she's so particular, but I don't know if she put it on the bed. The fact that she didn't say anything when Keith put his bag on the bed is enough for me. Like that's. Mm-mm. But the only thing I noticed was that Keith's bag had a Miami tag on there, and I'm like, oh man, there's a layover. Just like with ads on streaming service, layovers kill me. Not like I don't do them, but they're just, oh, they just make the trip much longer naturally, but it's just a thing like that I don't enjoy. I don't know if anybody enjoys it, but yeah.
And I didn't realize this was a thing for me until I saw it, but why do you leave your tags on your bag? Like, y'all were there all week. When you landed and you unpacked, you didn't pull the tags off your bag? Like, why are they still there a week into your honeymoon? I did not know this was a pet peeve of mine until I saw it. I'm like, take your tags off your bag.
I'm guilty. I don't take them off until the next
No,
time I'm going somewhere else.
no.
Guilty.
Ugh.
Okay, so that was the episode. The next episode, they're gonna be off the island, off the fairy tale, and we're about to get into the nitty gritty. But before we go, can you share with people where they can find you, Jen?
Oh, we're wrapping up our adventure in Thailand. And so you can follow what we're doing here our last week before we head to Laos. We're on Instagram and YouTube at jns.adventures.
Okay. And you know where to find me, guys. It is Altar Call MAFS, ALTARCALLMAFS on Instagram, on Twitter, on Threads, and on Blue Sky. Please give me a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It really helps the podcast. And if you have any thoughts, comments, concerns, feel free to send them over my way. Until the next episode, bye, guys.
Bye.